There we go. Do you think it's working?
Yeah, it is
Do you
now.
think it's not streaming? Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, sorry about that. I am
Cold?
freezing. Yeah, real cold. Trying to build a fire, not having a lot of success because I'm not a fire builder. But you know, I also am not someone who lives by myself and is okay in the dark. So we're gonna try. We're gonna see how it goes.
Oh, that's looking pretty.
Much like the papers on fire. Yeah.
Yeah, you should.
But there's some nice kind of kindling stuff. Ooh, look at that. That looks like I really know what I'm doing.
Well, see if you get some more on top of that now, so it doesn't just burn out.
Better to fade away. Is that what you're saying to me?
I, I was
I know,
desperate.
I shocked you, haven't I? Oh no, what if the flue's not open? Oh my gosh, you'd think I knew what I was doing. I don't know, is the house on fire? Can you believe I knew that I had to open the flue? Sorry, okay. This is not a daily dose about how Dana starts a fire or attempts. How beautiful that is though. Kind of looks like it's in Harry Potter.
Is it gonna? Have you got anything on top of that to keep it going?
Well, there is a little bit of a flame in the back. We'll see if that does it.
All right. Well,
All I'm saying is it's quite chilly. So I'm just gonna have to try that and see how I do. Okay, back to the topic at hand. Good morning, Dr. Mary.
good morning, T. I won't ask how you are. I think I've worked it out.
You know what? I'm good. I'm just cold. It's cold.
Well,
And
you
there's
could
not.
walk out for the sunrise this morning again.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Walk out to see the sunrise again without your wellies on.
Oh, I don't have my wellies with me. It's all for the art, Dr. Mary.
Okay.
We all suffer for our art. All right, we're gonna hope that this takes. I'm gonna not feeling great about it. But we'll see. I'm gonna step away. Dr. Mary, what are we talking about today?
The difference between guilt and shame and what it means to an addict.
Okay, you talk.
All right, one of the things I learned first off is what is actually the difference between those two and how there's a pattern an addict falls into. Shame is called a focus on yourself.
Okay.
So guilt is actually a focus on behavior. So being ashamed of something and feeling guilty of something is completely different. It's completely different things.
So how do you, is one better or worse than the other?
I think shame's worse. Because if you're guilty, you say, sorry, I made a mistake. And if you feel shame, you think that you are the mistake.
Oh.
And shame builds on itself. So you start off, like, I think the road a lot of people fall into when you suffer from addiction is, you know, there's something wrong, and then you feel bad about it, but you feel bad about yourself that you think you're not worth fixing. So you feel more ashamed because you think you can't be fixed because you've never been able to be fixed. And it kind of snowballs from that point.
Oh, so do you think that shame starts someplace else and addiction is how it can manifest?
I don't honestly know how those two are related. I don't know which one comes first, to be honest with you, but I do distinctly remember when I thought about it, why I wanted to bring this up, it kind of blew my mind. I've got all these handwritten notes all over these things I kept from being at Prairie, where it does build on itself. So, you know, you think you're defective, you think you're incompetent, you're weak because you can't do anything about not drinking, because you start to feel bad, and then you start thinking, oh, the hell with it, I'll have a drink.
Yeah.
You feel bad because you went near the end, especially for me, I really knew there was something wrong with me, but I couldn't really do anything about it because I was still managing to get myself, shower, get to work. I still managed to do my job. And, it was that nosebleed that really stopped me. But that whole shame cycle was definitely going on in my mind. And then for me, the guilt came after.
Oh, interesting.
I stopped feeling shame, but I started feeling guilty. And there's a thing between healthy guilt and unhealthy guilt.
Sure. That makes
And
sense.
my guilt was, oh my God, now I'm sober. Why didn't I do this years ago? That was my guilt. And then I was taught the shame of that is you couldn't do anything about it then, but now you're in a position to say, all right, I felt shamed and I feel guilty. What can I possibly do about that? So I built on my guilt to make sure I didn't feel any more shame. And that's what initially kept me sober.
Wow. So how do you make that shift, do you think? Because again, this isn't an addict thing. This is a life thing.
I did that when that all happened to me after you came to talk to my treatment group.
Yeah, I know it did, because that was a turning point. Not me being there necessarily, but that day happened to coincide with a major turning point for you.
I felt shamed in myself for not doing the assignment that Joanne gave me. Yeah. I felt guilty about it. So I just took a breath and did both. And then I started to listen. And that's how I worked through my shame and my guilt and made sure I didn't live on them. Yeah, so there's a healthy guilt to stop you falling back on yourself. And then there is a point where you have to forgive yourself.
How did you do that?
Because there was a lot of things. It was listening to everyone in my group, just thinking about it, talking to you. When you first, when it stopped, when I knew I could stop feeling guilty and shamed is the day Joanne phoned you and said, we think he can come home. Do you want him to? And you said yes. That's when I stopped feeling the shame guilt thing, because I thought now I can move forward.
Wow. So if you could give people one piece of advice to take the first step, what would you say to someone? What would you say to you this time 4 years ago?
Here's the weird thing about that. I almost am going to sound like my mother.
As you so often do, Dr.
Sometimes the cadence gets in there, right? No,
it's not just the cadence, but okay.
My mum would say something outstanding, just basically saying, don't be so stupid and get your head out your ass. That's what I would say to myself. Now, would that work in anyone else? I don't know. But what I would say is, for the love of God, yes, you messed up. Stop riding the same mistake. You can do this if you go off in that direction. So sail off over there.
Okay.
Or
how?
Here feeling shamed about yourself and just drink more. It's up to you. And ultimately, it's what we said the other day, get busy living or get busy dying. And when someone told me that actually being an alcoholic is actually a slow form of suicide, that's when I started to wise up.
Mm. So give me something tangible. Give me the actual first step. There's not just one step, but what is one small doable thing? because, going into treatment for 4.5 weeks is not everybody's opportunity. Either insurance doesn't pay for it, or you'll lose your, there's a million reasons not to literally disrupt your entire life like you were given the opportunity to. What is one small, doable thing that anybody watching this could try today, addict or not, somebody who just wants to change their life and feels trapped? It's so funny that we're talking about this, because that's kind of what I talked about this morning on my lessons at Sunrise too.
I missed the end. I missed the start of it. I was up because
Fine.
little Missy decided she needed to go outside.
And Dr. Mary, stay focused. I want to know, what's one step?
Take a moment to think of who you used to be before you started drinking.
What if, I'm sorry to keep pushing on this, but I'm really fascinated by this. What if who you used to be was so filled with shame
There has to be
for fair reasons and unfair reasons? What if you hate that person?
I would say there has to be there is in everyone, there is one thing that would cement you to being your own self.
What was that for you? Give me one thing.
I used to be happy in what I did. I used to be happy just tinkering about doing stuff. And for me, it happened to be in a lab doing odd things with plants. But I remembered that. And I thought, you know what? Then I never drank. If I did, I went out and, we went out on a Friday night, but I knew when to stop. And I thought at some point I'd forgotten how to stop. So at some point I knew I could have fun and didn't feel bad about myself. So there had to be something in me that was still good. And I decided to go look for it.
That's amazing advice.
There is some good in everybody. There is something that you remember doing that you think, yeah, life's good. Everyone has that. Many people forget. Apparently, the last statistic I looked up, there's 2.8 million alcoholics in the United States.
Is that people who own being alcoholics?
That is actually, I think that figure is people who are alcoholic that are enjoying sobriety. There's probably about 10 times that number that aren't.
Yeah.
And that's just alcoholics. That's not people who suffer from the addiction of drugs or anything like that, or people who suffer from both for various reasons.
Wow.
In everyone's life, there is one thing that you can think, you know what? I used to be like this. And if you liked it, you grab hold of it and you move on hanging on to that. And that's what I did. And I had the advantage of you were around to see if I could.
But you still had to do the work.
Yes. And it was hard. It was difficult. I'm not saying, hey, I'm fixed. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of, you've got to look at your self-reflection is terrible, but you have to do it. I mean, I don't like doing it, but I had to do it, and I didn't like what I found. That was incredibly disheartening. But I like me now a whole lot better.
Me too. That's amazing advice. It's an incredible way to leave the day. Think back to some piece of you, however large or small, however significant or insignificant, that you liked, that mattered, that did good for someone, and hold on to that. That piece is still inside you. Super, super moved by that, Dr. Mary.
Oh, thank you. Well, I hope anyone watching this will, if it will help them, or they can suggest it to someone else, and that's a day well spent.
Absolutely. Take the day and find the thing or the things that matter to you about you. And don't say there's nothing, because Maz is right. Everybody's got some piece of good in them. Everybody. Might seem absolutely inconsequential, but it's not. if it's the thing you need to hold on to. So have an excellent day. My fire is a complete bust.
We'll work
Disappointing.
on that later.
I had to open a window. I'm sorry, I was paying attention the whole time. I really am just so cold. So everybody have a good day. Stay warm.
We'll get you water.
Find that thing in you that's good. You have it. You absolutely have it. And we'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:30. Bye, Mezzy.
See ya. Bye, lover.
See ya.
Bye. See you all tomorrow.